Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. It is Ramadan 1444 Hijrah or March 2023. I have decided to comment on the question of Arab unity, which is based on an Al Jazeera production consisting of many series which discusses the issues of Arab identity, nationalism, and unity. Hello, my name is Samirul Ariff, and I was actually trained in applied sciences, management, and political economy. I did not receive formal training in Islamic studies. However, I've always had a keen interest on this subject. And so I have decided to borrow from my brother from an Al Jazeera production that consists of many series. Now, in this episode, Unity Betrayed, which consists of two parts, it discusses the state of the Middle East and related areas following the fall of the Ottoman Empire and the Great Arab Revolt. For the record, I was trained in Middle Eastern economics and politics under the late Dr. Andrew Vincent, and also participated in Middle Eastern simulation games between universities. As you can see, this is the recommendation letter by Dr. Andrew Vincent.
Hussein ibn Ali, the Sharif of Mecca and head of the Arab nationalist movement, entered into an alliance with Britain, following a secret exchange of letters with Sir Henry McMahon, the British High Commissioner and effective ruler of Egypt.
In the McMahon-Hussein correspondence, which are 10 letters between 1915 and 1916, the British did promise Sharif Hussein at least sizable parts of what we now call the Arab East, yani Greater Syria plus Palestine, plus of course the Arab Peninsula, and what later became Iraq. The man was promised an Arab kingdom and himself as a king of this Arab kingdom.
One possible line of reasoning which led to this British action is explained by the man whose name is most often associated with it, T.E. Lawrence, otherwise known as Lawrence of Arabia.
We could see a new factor was needed in the East, some power or race which would outweigh the Turks in numbers, in output, and in mental activity. Some of us judged that there was latent power enough and to spare in the Arabic peoples, the greatest component of the old Turkish Empire.
British support was important, probably decisive in launching the Arab revolt and supporting King Hussein. He needed arms and ammunition, and he needed advisors, and he got both. And here where you get important figures like T.E. Lawrence, who was an advisor for the armed forces, because the Arabs at the time didn't have the material power to launch a war against the Turks.
Arab nationalists also supported Sharif Hussein, believing that with British support, he would be able to break Ottoman rule. Sharif Hussein began to plan his revolt. The nationalists began to plan for a new government to ensure that they would share power with Hussein, and the British began to plan how to control the Arabs. On the 10th of June 1916, Sharif Hussein declared a war of independence by symbolically firing a rifle at the Turkish barracks in Mecca. the Great Arab Revolt had begun. Prince Faisal, the third son of Sharif Hussein, was in fact the real leader of the Arab Revolt, as his father was too old to fight. Faisal's forces were limited, mainly composed of Bedouin warriors who conducted guerrilla operations, targeting Ottoman supply columns, attacking garrisons, and destroying railroad tracks. To the consternation of the Turks, the Arabs would disappear as suddenly as they appeared, hiding in the maze of the Rum Valley in Jordan. T.E. Lawrence, known as Orenz to the Arabs, is everywhere here. A water spring is named after him, and there is a carving of his head on one of the rock faces next to Prince Abdullah, Sharif Hussein's son and later King of Jordan. Lawrence's main role was to help Prince Faisal plan raids, in line with British strategy. He later wrote about his involvement in the Arab Revolt in a memoir entitled The Seven Pillars of Wisdom, named after a rock formation in the Rum Valley.
The Arabs were portrayed as brave fighters who fight for freedom. They were portrayed as freedom fighters, which was great, compared with the image they had retained before as a romantic image or people with black magic, something like that. So now you have the press portray them as freedom fighters who seek to liberate their country and who seek to unite their country. That remained for a while, I mean just for a short while, because after that the image was changed.
A brand new future awaited the Arabs. Unfortunately, it just wasn't the one they were fighting for. In the middle of the war, the British betrayed the Arabs with not one, but two secret agreements. Sykes-Picot wasn't the only clandestine agreement made about control of Arab lands. In the Balfour Declaration of 1917, British Foreign Secretary Arthur James Balfour promised Lord Rothschild, a leading British Jew, a homeland for the Jews in Palestine, laying the foundations of the future state of Israel.
ملاحظ انه في الثورة العربية الكبرى منعت جيوش الثورة العربية الكبرى ان يكون لها دور في فلسطين.
What one notices in the Great Arab Revolt is that the Arab forces were forbidden a role in Palestine. I mean, when British forces arrived in Palestine, they were alone because they were thinking about the Balfour Declaration. The Arabs discovered this later. The Arabs believed they were allies and were on one path, one fight. But the British planned from the beginning that the Arab kingdom did not include Palestine. That is, Palestine was outside the Arab kingdom deal they made with Sharif Hussein in Mecca.
Initially unaware of the betrayals surrounding them, Arab forces celebrated the capture of Aqaba, a strategic port town on the Red Sea, in July 1917. As the revolt progressed, the Ottomans began to execute independence activists in Beirut and Damascus. But in October 1918, Prince Faisal and Lawrence entered Damascus. The Ottomans fled. The Arabs had won, and the liberation of Syria was received with great celebration. Already proclaimed King of the Arabs the previous year, Sharif Hussein prepared to take the throne. But the Arabs were betrayed yet again, this time from an unexpected quarter.
Sharif Hussein was also betrayed in his own part of the world, where the British had promised the Sauds to take over Najd and Hijaz. So not only he was not given an Arab kingdom, but his autonomous rule that was a tradition and accepted by the Ottomans, he was lost to the tribal coalition of the Sauds, yes, with British help, and he spent his last days in Cyprus, of all places.
The Syrians, that is the people of Syria, present-day Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, and Jordan, elected representatives, congressmen, and they all voted for King Faisal to become the king of Syria, which means that there was a will. The people were willing to get rid of the Turks and to get united. They didn't want to replace the Turks by other rulers like the British or the French or the Israelis at a later stage.
أعتقد أن كل التاريخ العربي المعاصر وجد في تلك الفترة يعني.
I believe that all modern Arab history was born at that moment. The Arab countries that exist today are the result of those agreements, including partitions and geographic borders. Countries called Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, or Saudi Arabia are all the result of Sykes-Picot. The creation of the Zionist entity is also linked to the Balfour Declaration.
نشأة الكيان الصهيوني أيضا ارتبطت بوجود وعد بلفور.
Sykes-Picot and Balfour have left a very deep effects on the region. I mean, in addition to partitioning the region, it has created a set of regimes mainly based on ethnic or tribal or sectarian divisions.
Prince Faisal was well aware of the tribal and sectarian divisions of the Arab world, and he had no problem recognizing the rights of Arab minorities, as long as he could bring them together in a single, united Arab kingdom.
His vision was quite pragmatic, if you want. He was ready within his kingdom to accept an autonomous Christian zone in Mount Lebanon. He proposed the same scheme for the Jews in Palestine. And within this general Arab state, there would be a special region in Palestine, which would be a Jewish entity.
In early 1919, negotiations took place between Prince Faisal and Chaim Weizmann, a prominent Russian Jew who was head of the Zionist organization at the Paris Peace Conference, which was held by the Allies to negotiate the spoils of World War I.
تعهد الأمير فيصل إذا قامت المملكة العربية.
If the Arab kingdom became a reality, Prince Faisal promised that he would find a place for the Jews in the United Kingdom. But if the Arabs were not given their independence and a united kingdom, then the promise was null and void.
فإن هذا التعهد يعتبر لاغي.
None of it mattered. At the same conference where Faisal and Weizmann signed their agreement, the Europeans prepared to openly take control of the former Ottoman territories. In July 1920, French forces defeated Faisal's new army at Maysalun and entered Damascus. The Arabs were once again under foreign domination. And for the first time, Arabs had to contend with national borders, which had never existed, even under Ottoman colonialism. The dream for Arab nationalists of unity and Sharif Hussein's vision of a united Arab kingdom ruled by an Arab caliph, a descendant of the Prophet, lay in ruins. But unbeknownst to either the Arabs or the colonists, the end of the First World War was also the beginning of the end of old world empires. New and powerful ideologies were on the rise, set to change the world forever.